You know, I was very glad when Time magazine saw Manhattan and responded so well to it. That was wonderful. And then they said, we would like to make a cover for you, and that was also wonderful, because I thought many people would then see the cover and say, gee, we must go see this movie. So that part was great. But I did never think that, that it would be so flattering as it was. I thought it would be nice, but I didn't think it would be that flattering to a point where I was embarrassed.
Yes, embarrassed.
Embarrassed, yes.
I have been...
Of course, if you appear on a magazine cover and they say a genius, everyone must hate you, and you must feel like a fool. You know, how can you take that seriously for a minute? So I was embarrassed by it. I would have liked them to put my picture and to say a terrific new movie, or a very funny new film. That would have been perfect.
I have been told that when you saw the cover, and that I understand too, said, am I that ugly?
Well, yes, I've been on many covers in my life.
That was the worst.
And that was, in terms of, you know, I was surprised, because I think this, if you take my picture, a photograph, and I come out ugly, what can I do? There's nothing I can do about that. But if a man is drawing me with a pencil, it's so easy to make me good-looking, because, you know, he can control it. So I can't understand why they would actually draw a picture and make me so terrible looking. When the evening of the Academy Awards in New York, when Annie Hall received its various awards, I was not there, as you know, and the first that I heard about it was the following morning. You know, I played jazz that night with my orchestra, and then I went home and I went to sleep in New York time, 12:30.
Reading young.
Pardon me?
Reading young.
Reading
young. Carl Jung.
Oh, that's right. Conversation. That's exactly right. And I went to sleep, and this was only 9:30 in California, and the next morning I woke. I took my phone off the hook when I went to sleep, because I didn't want anyone to call me. And the next morning, when I woke up and picked up the newspaper to have breakfast, I saw on the front page of the Times that Annie Hall had been very successful there. So that was the first that I heard about it. Originally, the title for Annie Hall was Anhedonia, because we thought it was about a character, you know, that I played, who couldn't seem to have a good time no matter what he did. But then nobody at United Artists thought that anyone in the country would know what Anhedonia meant, and that people would, you know, think it was a foreign movie, or that they just would have no idea what it was. So, so we changed the title. I changed the title.
But you are an anhedonist.
Not too bad.
Not as bad as in Annie Hall.
Oh yes, worse than Annie Hall, but not as bad as I could be.
Not as bad as it could be.
Right. I mean, I'm not terrible, but I do, you know, I do find it hard to find things to have fun. I mean, I like to work a lot and don't spend a lot of time having what most people would call fun.
But what fun makes you cringe, or makes you?
No, I just don't have the patience. You know, I get bored. I don't, you know, I like to work most of the time. It just, if I have fun doing anything, it's really working.
Nothing exhilarates you?
You know, I like to, small thing. I like to listen to music. I like to watch sports. You know, but nothing. You know, I have no urge to go parachute jumping or skiing or to Africa.
That I understand.
It's a story about what's happening to American culture, or the American culture, that relationships between human beings are becoming harder and harder to have, and it's becoming harder and harder to be honest and not to sell out, and harder to fall in love, because we're living in the United States in a culture that's ruined by fast food and television and bad music and drugs, and it's too bad. I think that music will always smell of New York, and I'm not a very big fan, not very enthusiastic about contemporary music, contemporary popular music. I don't think that it's very good. I think it's one of the junk things of the culture. You know, the whole American culture is going down the drain. You know, you can't turn on the television set and see anything, or walk in the street and not find garbage, or you know, neighborhoods that were formerly beautiful now have McDonald's in them. And it's all part of an enormous degeneration of culture in the United States. And people that exist in that culture are forced to make moral decisions all the time about their lives, their occupations, their love lives, and they make decisions that are commensurate with what's happening to them in this culture. And it's too bad that that's happening, because that's what Manhattan is about, that New York used to be such a great city, so wonderful, and it has to fight every day for its survival against the encroachment of all this terrible ugliness that is gradually overcoming all the big cities in America.
And you think this ugliness comes from what?
This ugliness comes from a culture that has no spiritual center, a culture that has money and education, but no sense of being at peace with the world, no sense of purpose in life. They don't know what they're doing or why they're here. They have no religious center. They have no philosophical center, and so they do what's expedient at the moment. They have no long view of society. They only have the view of quick money and kill the pain of the moment. And so instead of dealing with the real problems that exist, that are complicated, they sweep them under the rug by turning on the television set or taking cocaine or doing many things that enable them to escape confrontation with the unpleasant realities of the world. New York is a unique quality. It's very tense and nervous and very exciting. I get a lot of inspiration from New York because I respond very well to that. I don't like the country, I don't like the beach, you know. I like to look at it for one day, but to actually live someplace, I need that action all the time, and I really do get a lot of ideas.
Do you have creative problems? I mean, when you start a film, do you have are you anxious? Is it difficult for you to write it, or does it goes out like
to write it? It's yes. I hate to make it. You know, Monday I have to start making a new film, and I hate the thought of it. Hate it. I would like to be doing anything else. I would like to go to Paris and just take an apartment and write a book and never come out. And I just hate the idea of waking up early in the morning and going to film. It's so just truly
you decided
terrible.
To do it in a way.
I know.
Just to make you unhappy.
No, I decided to do it because there's something exciting about cinema, but also I can't. The work and the style of life is very, you know. It'll be okay once I begin, but right now, you know, the thought of it is terrible.
How do you choose your partners in a film?
Well, I try and work with my friends as much as possible because it makes life very simple. I've been very lucky because I've been able to work with Diane Keaton many times now. So that's a big help immediately. And I have one or two actor friends that I like that can play certain parts. I create parts for them because I know them so well. If I have to cast, like in interiors, I had to work with strangers outside of Diane. They were all strangers. I picked those people that I thought would be best for the part, and I was very nervous about it, very worried that there would be all kinds of problems and it would be hard to work with them, and they were temperamental or very great, but they were all very friendly. They all, nothing that I was afraid of happened.
You know, you are very serious for an American comedy genius.
I'm serious. I am serious. I mean, my problem is that when I'm making a comedy film and we turn the camera on, it's hard for me to get into the mood to be funny. I have friends who are comedians. Mel Brooks is someone I know very well, and he finds it hard not to be funny.
I read in Time magazine that you don't work to make a profit, that if you make a $1 profit, it's okay with you. Money doesn't mean anything for you?
Well, when you say money doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean to me, I wouldn't make a picture for the money. I mean, that's not my interest when I make a picture. Everybody in show business that has any success at all automatically makes a lot of money. Now, I make a lot of money compared to my sister, who is a school teacher. I don't make a lot of money compared to Barbara Streisand, who is an actress. So I'm not interested in high finance the way many movie actors are, but just what I make automatically is still enough money. I mean, it's still more than I ever thought I would make when I was 10 years old. I get the New York Times delivered to my apartment every morning, so whenever I have a review, a critic in the Times, I see it because I get that paper. But I don't go looking too much to read them, because I don't believe them when they tell me how wonderful I am, and I don't believe them if they say bad things about me, you know, because it's not healthy. And all my friends were going into law and medicine and all those things, and I had to decide what it was I was going to do, and I thought, you know, that I had always been amusing, and that I would try and see if I could write some jokes and sell them, and if I could, maybe try, you know, writing for television and see what that would be like. And it was immediately successful. And while I was still in high school, the first things I wrote, I sold. And I was working on television 6 months later, before I was anywhere near college, before I graduated high school. So I never didn't work. And then I thought that it would be interesting. You know, there was a big wave of cabaret popularity in the United States. Suddenly there were many comedians in cabarets in this country, and it was a very exciting medium. You know, Mike Nichols and Elaine May and Lenny Bruce and Mort Saul and emerged as very gifted cabaret comedians, and it was inspiring. I thought that I could also get up in a cabaret and tell jokes to people, and I felt that there was a chance that they would like it.
Actor, author, comedian, and spoiler of women, Mr. Woody Allen.
Thank you. Now, let me start at the very beginning. I did a vodka ad. That's the first important thing. A big vodka company.
How could you find the nerve to do it? I mean,
Very
to walk
hard.
into the light.
It was very difficult, and I had very many bad moments for the first 6 months or a year. Very difficult.
What were you doing before going to the stage? Drinking a little whiskey?
No, I don't drink, but I would wake up in the morning, maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and immediately think, oh God, 14 hours from now, I have to be on a stage. And I couldn't stop thinking about it all day, couldn't stop worrying about it. It would be like going for, you know, a physical for the army or something. It was like a terrible experience.
But that was your choice.
It was my choice.
So aren't you a little masochistic?
I don't know. I wanted to be a comedian, and I felt that I could overcome the fear that I have. And I did overcome it. I was frightened of facing an audience, nervous about facing an audience, long after I knew that they liked me. I didn't think to myself, they're not going to like me. Because in the evening, when I finally did get on stage, they did. They laughed, and it was very, they hired me in cabarets. It's just the mere act of going in front of people is very difficult if you're not used to it.
Do you laugh in life?
Oh, well, I laugh with my friends, yes.
Because in films you never laugh.
No, I don't, but I do laugh with my friends.
Really?
When I'm home alone.
And you don't feel guilty?
No, not when I laugh. No. because it's not unhealthy. I mean, actually, it's probably good for me to laugh. I only feel guilty if I smoke cigarettes or eat food that's too rich and a lot of it, you know, things that are bad for my health. I do them, but I feel guilty about it. But if I do something that's good for my health, laughing, exercise, sex, I don't feel guilty.
Not at all.
No, no.
So you are a little hedonistic somewhere.
A little, a small, yeah.
Very little.
Not too terrible.
So will I take you seriously when you write that after breathing, girls are your principal interest in life, after breathing?
Oh, I see. Well, I think that's probably true. I think that, you know, that there are a few subjects of extreme importance to everyone, of absolute vital importance. One is their relationship with the other sex, love, and man and woman relationships. The other is their own mortality, their health and their aging and that which revolves around their existential concerns. And so, yes, that's true.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So when you told me that the thing you like best is to work, that's not true.
No, that wasn't true. That was just to keep you happy.
It didn't keep me happy. I am happier now.
Ah, il y a quand même quelque chose qui lui fait plaisir.
Are you really misogynistic? Because in your films all girls are either shrieks, witches, cruel, full of whims and things like that, or is it reversed love?
The truth of the matter is, the women in my films are always wonderful and interesting. If I have any problem at all, it's a problem with the men.
And you are no longer married?
No. First time I was married for 5 years to a very interesting young girl that I grew up with who was a philosophy teacher. And we were very friendly, but we were children when we got married. She was 17 and I was 19. And we had, you know, not a bad marriage, but then we grew up, you know, and completely grew apart. And she went to travel all over the world and to teach, you know, philosophy. And then I married Louise. We didn't really like being married. I mean, that wasn't, so we were very close before we got married for, you know, I don't know, 5 years or so. And then we got married. And then we are very friendly now. We're married for 2 years. I think we got married because we both believed that probably it wouldn't work too well, but if we didn't, we would never know. So this way we didn't have to get old and think, oh, if only we had gotten married when we were younger, everything would have been fine. So we did.
But now you lead the life of a bachelor.
Now, yes.
You go and play clarinet in a restaurant and you see your friends and you don't live with anybody.
I don't live with anybody, but I do go out with women frequently. I've just never met anyone that I wanted to live with since then.
But you think that living with somebody kills love and happiness, and that it's better to have it on a kind of rental basis?
Well, I don't think that it must. I think that often it does. I don't think that it must. I think it's in most cases it seems to. The good relationships between men and women, I think, are rare, and one must be very, very lucky.
And what about having children?
I like children. If I was living with a woman or going out with a woman that I loved, and she wanted to have children, 1 child or 10 children, that's okay with me. I like them. Also, if she said, no, I don't think I like children, that's also okay.
That wouldn't disturb you of your work?
Children?
Yes. They make noise, they...
Oh, no, I live in a big apartment and it'd be no problem. I get along, excuse me, very well with children. I mean, I don't mind them.
What do you think about the liberation of women? You know, all those movements for women.
Well, I think that it's very important for women to have, you know, absolute, total equality with men in every conceivable way.
Generally, the characters in your films are very influenced by their psychiatrists.
Mm-hmm.
Are you influenced by this culture, influenced by psychiatrists?
Yes, it's a certainly in the circles that I move, it's a very popular thing.
I was always very shy when it came to girls. I remember when I was a little boy, I once stole a pornographic book that was printed in Braille, and I used to rub the dirty parts.
I have friends who are psychoanalysts. I'm interested in psychoanalysis. I'm interested in plays and films that are about psychological problems, and I think that I've been very influenced in general by psychoanalysis. Mm-hmm. You know, I was in psychoanalysis years ago and have gone back to it at times and stopped at times and gone back and stopped, and you know.
Whenever you feel too guilty of something, or what?
If I feel like I'm having too much fun.
Yes. Just to make you unhappy.
I have to talk about it. Yeah, I know something must be wrong someplace.
It's a kind of punishment?
No, it's just someplace to go.
When one is the first American comic genius, one has many places to go.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I thought so. But now, after those on and off analyses, you think that you know who Woody Allen is?
I think I know a little more about myself, probably, than I would have if I didn't do it.
That makes you happier?
It makes me a little smarter about myself, a little less vulnerable to making a few mistakes I might make if I didn't know quite as much about myself. I don't have a lot of faith in the efficacy of the political systems that have evolved, and I think that it's incomplete to try and resolve all the problems that we suffer from by attacking them politically. I think no matter how many times we would change styles of government, and you still would feel unhappy, and there would still be problems because they're far from political, most of them.
And you think that we can improve society by making something else than politics?
I think that politics is only one part of it, that it's important to pursue you know, a political structure, but that if you just do that by itself, nothing's going to happen. And I think that's exactly what people do. They channel all their efforts into political revolution of one type or another, and so you know, when they finally are successful and there is some kind of huge government change through an election or a revolution, then they find after a very brief time that nothing has really changed.
So do you think that things will never change? Or do you think that there is a way of changing things, improving them?
I think that unless it's attacked on several levels, that nothing will happen. It has to be attacked politically, psychologically, religiously. I feel that that's probably the most significant, the deepest. Philosophically, it can't just be a question of which economic system you use or which party is in power.
But who could change it morally, religiously? Who could take that in hands?
I have a feeling that if that occurs, it's going to occur accidentally. It's going to occur by chance. That it probably is too insurmountable a task to happen in an organized way, and that maybe something will happen. Maybe some scientific discovery or religious revelation or nuclear war or something will suddenly change the world in a way that will send it on a different course completely in terms of people's thinking in terms of their spiritual thinking, in terms or feeling, in terms of their whole general style of thinking.
But aren't we waiting for a new Messiah?
Not necessarily a Messiah, but I think my honest feeling is probably it's going to happen, if it happens at all, by chance. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's too overwhelming a task to happen by small groups of people with finely developed consciences to affect.
So
that would be nice.
So you don't vote?
Yes, I vote because I think it does make a difference who
little difference.
Yeah, but, you know, in a certain area it makes a difference. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to do more than, you know, politicians to me are like civil servants. I mean, they're like, I don't mean this to be funny, they're like the people that deliver the mail or the garbage, or, you know, they have a job to do, and you want the best ones to do that job, but they have no answers or no real effectiveness in terms of the real problems that make everybody feel very lonely and frightened when they're home alone in the middle of the night.
You wrote that you tried suicide, but you were just able to make the fuse of the refrigerator out. That was a joke.
Yes, it was a joke. I would never think of suicide, because for me it's a temporary solution.
Temporary? What comes after suicide? If you don't believe in God?
I don't know, but I would never think of it. I just, you know, it's not an appealing thought to me. I mean, it's, you know, the idea is to try and work things out without that. You know, it's more interesting challenge.
For you, life isn't easy, but death is much more uneasy.
Death is not suicide is not an interesting alternative. You know, the problem, the real interesting challenge is to solve the problem within the context of remaining alive.
Are you afraid by death? By age first and by death after?
Yes, in that order. By age first and by death after.
Yes. So
yeah.
Are you? Yes?
Sure.
Makes you unhappy, the idea of...
Yes.
Very unhappy? Very?
Very. I can't tell you how unhappy it makes you. Sure.
You look at your hair, you look if you have a wrinkle.
I try not
what?
to look for that reason. I try and just keep going and working, and, you know, I try and distract myself, but I don't like the idea, but this is a normal answer from anyone.
Yes,
that
who
you
likes that?
speak to.
But there are people who don't think about it.
Well, you try not to think about it, but it's hard not to think about it, because if you're in any way sensitive to the world around you, it exists all over the place. I'm a great complainer. I like to complain about everything. I'm always at my funniest if I'm whining.
Are you religiously observant? I mean, are you going to the synagogue?
No, I did when I was a boy. I was brought up religiously, but not anymore, because I didn't find that meant anything to me. You know, I don't rule out at all some kind of religious reality, but it certainly isn't. It certainly has nothing to do with any of the people that make their living from it.
But you are not an atheist, evidently.
It's close. It's a fight all the time not to be one.
You feel that God is somebody trying to fool everybody, making them think that it doesn't exist?
No, I don't think that.
Generally, when a fairy meets somebody, you know, in a in a tale, she asks, do you want success, do you want wealth, do you want power, or do you want love, to the hero. So if you would make a fairy asking you, what do you want? You have success, you have wealth, what would you love besides that? Love or power?
Well, what you would like, ideally...
Beauty, strength, muscular strength, being
No,
Tarzan.
I'd like to... I'd like to know for certain that there is a God. That would be nice. Then I would relax more easily, you know?
That would be your second wish.
Yes, I would not have to lock my door at night.
Why do you lock your door at night?
Are you joking? For survival.
Yeah, the police.
Yeah, it's true that in New York, it's true that as much as I love New York, there is a terrible problem of crime and violence in the city. This is true.
But if the fairy would give you one wish, you would wish not to close the doors.
Well, I wouldn't put it that simplistically. No, I would wish for what I said I wished for if I could.
But you meant relaxing in another way.
Yeah, I did. But yes, I meant relaxing in another way. Okay.
Relaxing in front of one. What? In front of happiness? In front of pleasure? In front of love? In front of what?
It would be a load off my mind if I knew that you know, that there was some kind of spiritual center to everybody's existence. I'd feel good about that.
What gets you scared outside of starting a film one day?
Oh, I'm always scared of, you know, that I'll be sick or something. I'm scared that I will lose my hearing, or that I will wake up nauseated in the morning, or I don't like to be physically sick. That scares me.
That's all that makes you cringe and...
Well, it's not all, but that, you know, can keep me going for a long time. Illness is terrible. I think illness is worse than anything else. It's really terrible.
En avril dernier, à Paris, je lui ai demandé qui il aimerait être s'il devait recommencer sa vie.
Probably if I had my life to live over in any way that I wanted or something, if I could be talented enough, I would probably like to be a concert pianist. I think that's a nice thing to be. I know if I did my life over, I'd like to be in music.
Why?
Because I like music, I like jazz, I like classical music, and I think if I could do anything I wanted, that might be the most interesting to me, to be Rubinstein.
5 mois après, à New York, même question, mais l'état d'esprit est bien différent.
Oh, it would be interesting. If I could be born again, I wouldn't mind being born as Marlon Brando. I think that would be interesting. I've always been a great, great admirer of his. Or maybe Frank Sinatra. That's another one. If I could be one of them, I think it would be nice for me.